Joe Rogan actually had a surprising reaction here to his friend Tony Hinchcliffe's joke slash rally backlash, all this nonsense and madness that's been going on over the last several days with the Tony Hinchcliffe situation. Let's go ahead and watch and understand.
Yeah,
Well, whoever
those.
booked him is shitting their pants right now.
Why
aren't they?
did you do that? I tell all comedians, don't ever do comedy at something that's not a comedy event. Don't do it. Don't ever do comedy at a place that's doing also. It's
Yeah.
doing, is it gonna have a bunch of speakers and you're gonna go up and do 10 minutes? Don't ever do that. It's a terrible setup. It's a terrible setup, and it's a political rally, and you're doing jokes like you're in a comedy club. It doesn't. You can't. Don't do it.
I don't really blame Tony though, because Tony is what Tony is,
Yeah.
right? Like if you want an insult comic, Tony is the best in the world.
That's
right?
literally his great specialty is roasting.
Right.
He's
So
the best roaster ever.
if you book Tony Hinchcliffe is going to be Tony Hinchcliffe.
Exactly.
So whoever fucking booked him, that's the person that's made the
Not
mistake.
just booked him, but apparently went over his material.
Did they go over his material?
No.
Oh my!
Apparently, they went over his material, and there was one joke that they flagged, and he was somehow Tony Hinchcliffe was going to use the C word, like the one they use in British culture when they say "all right, cunt," except in American culture we use it differently. So if I can get away with saying that, even, but apparently that was the joke that they flagged and got rid of, and everything else was golden stamped, good to go.
This is what I've read on the internet, so it must be true.
In the words of Donald Trump, someone's getting fired, man.
I gotta tell you, that joke kills at comedy clubs. I don't like the joke. It kills. And I said to him, it's just like, if you're Puerto Rican and you hear that in the audience, like, oh, but it's a funny joke. The joke does well. But I said to him, I go, dude,
He says it's a funny joke, but I didn't like the joke, but it's a funny joke. But if you're Puerto Rican, he's really trying to cover all the bases there.
that's the one's gonna get you stabbed.
Really?
Yes. And
Yeah.
he used to talk about it on stage, saying, Joe Rogan always says, that's the one's gonna get me stabbed. Like,
Wow.
which is so crazy.
Yeah.
I think he'd pick stabbed at this point, given the shit that's going down.
I think it'll blow over,
Yeah.
just like all these things do.
Yeah,
and
of
there's,
course.
there's people that are always going to hate someone like Tony, and it's going to make other people.
Unless Trump loses the election and there's like a noticeable shift in Puerto Rican turnout or Latino vote in like Pennsylvania or North Carolina, one of these states, then Tony Hinchcliffe might be in a world of trouble, man. So he is going to be holding his breath up to and through election day and the follow through after that.
Love him more. It's just like he's going through it right now.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
He's
know,
going through the storm.
as somebody who has wound up, who winds people up, we've wound people up on our
Yeah,
time.
you guys are winders.
We get called something beginning with W, right?
Oh, well, you guys, that's a negative over there, wanker. You can call someone a wanker here, and it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
it's like calling him a cracker. It doesn't really work. Or a
But
hunky.
but when I saw what Tony did, I went, all right, mate, you're in a different league now to me. That is another level.
Yeah, Obama was quoting his bit, but he's quoting it like it was a statement.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is really fucked up. He was quoting it like he was saying someone called Puerto Rico an island of garbage. But that's a joke. That's like going to a Quentin Tarantino movie, and then the man killed that woman. Like, he didn't really kill that woman. That's like a doll.
Yeah.
This is a movie. No one died. Everyone's fine. They all like each other.
But if you give them ammunition,
Yeah, it's the problem. We were discussing this in the bathroom. Like, it's like, that's their job. That's
Yeah.
what they have to do.
They got to do it.
That's their job.
you give them ammunition, they're going to use it.
Of course they're going to do it. That's what they do. Like, you can't assume they're going to be a good person and not use it in this critical moment. How many days are we? Like 8 days before the election? That's
Right.
crazy. That's so soon. Of course you're going to use everything. I'd use it too.
But you know what? It nicely encapsulates modern politics because it's a storm about nothing. It's a storm about a joke at a rally. And actually, everybody's focusing on that instead of the huge problems that America has, which we all need to be discussing. And we need
Yes.
to be discussing in a calm, serious, and sober manner. Because, for example, if you have an open border, that's an existential crisis. Because if you can't
Yes.
control your borders, you don't have a country. But we don't talk about that, really. We're
Exactly.
getting upset because Tony Hinchcliffe came along and called Puerto Rico a trash.
But it didn't even call him.
All right. Leaving it at that, basically, I'll let this gentleman, forgive me, I don't know what their names are exactly, but I've seen their podcast before. I think they do a right-leaning podcast from sort of a cheeky British fellow's perspective there. But I appreciate Joe Rogan's honesty in this one. And the main point, my main takeaway is what he said is that you have to realize like set and setting or the environment that you're in. You are not at a 1 a.m. comedy club just talking shit and being able to get away with it. You are at a political rally, and by definition, you can't escape it. Like you're just in a different kind of environment, and whatever you say there is going to be, taken and put under a microscope, and there's going to be sound bites taken off, and everybody's going to try to take every little way they can to take advantage of the situation. And Tony Hinchcliffe just happened to have one of those jokes that apparently he's told before. I didn't know about it, but that he knew was especially raunchy, that he knew people didn't really respond well to, that it got some likes, but it also got a lot of sort of backlash as well in these small comedy circles, and that Rogan was warning him about that joke. So, if you're whoever, it's a total F up by the Trump campaign. It's a total mess up by whoever vetted him, whoever didn't, flag that particular joke. You got to know the demographics, man. You got to know who you're talking to. You got to know who's listening, and you got to know how they're going to use it. At the end there, so Rogan being fairly honest, surprisingly, I kind of thought he was going to take this in the direction of, this is total fake news, and Tony's a good guy, and they're blowing this out of proportion, and like how dare they do this and that. But he was pretty much just honest with the situation, and he thinks that it's eventually going to blow over. More likely than not, it will blow over, but a lot of that depends on how this election goes. So Tony Hinchcliffe has wrapped him in a world of something. So we'll see how this goes. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like, drop a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.